Thoughts on that, Rhys?
Game of two halves, but ultimately shot herself in the foot with the first 45. You know, it's always going to be a difficult task at the best of times, coming up to obviously a team like Dundee. You're going to probably need a lot of things to go your way, and we gifted them far too many goals and things that were avoidable in the first half. And second half obviously is a bit different. It's difficult. You're coming in at half time, boys are deflated, and you're trying to set yourself a little target. Could you try and go and win the second half and make sure you learn from that first 45, which obviously we know wasn't acceptable. I think they did that in fairness. Unlucky maybe not to get a goal or two, but ultimately said your damage was done in the first 45.
Is that the most frustrating thing, Rhys, that all the goals were probably preventable when you were able to?
Absolutely, because it's not something that you set up to do is lose goals like that. You know, we knew coming into the game, given a previous experience here, that set pieces and stuff were going to be massive for them, and then the first goal comes from a set piece, which is a message and detail that you've put on the boys during the week, as well as kind of day before the game and pre-game, and then obviously the second one caught in possession, I think it is, young Dino in the middle of the pitch, which in fairness is not like him. Normally really kind of strong part of his games, taking that ball and linking and connecting the areas of the pitch, and he gets caught, which can happen, but the big thing that I would look for that is a response. Could he learn and adapt, and then you go and concede ultimately the same goal with Gavin Gallagher later on, which the young players of course, but the message we've said to them in there is we've got ambitions as a club and as a coaching staff to try and kick these boys on. You know, we know where we're at as a club in terms of our model and what we're trying to do. We've got a bundle of talent in that changing room, young players that if they want to aspire to be a top level professional, they've got to learn from these experiences, and that was probably the difference. I think the first 45 it was almost a case of error after error without real recognition or kind of sense of reality that maybe you just need to tweak it for 5-10 minutes to get your foothold back in the game, grow your confidence, and then second half I thought with our distances and we looked a much better kind of team, and probably towards the end maybe I'm not unlucky to score a goal, being with us in both boxes as they say. Dundee were and we won.
Can you take some confidence from that second half performance back into the league campaign, do you think?
It's two different entities, I suppose. Listen, it was always going to be a kind of difficult task, but certainly one that we had full belief coming into. We approach every game with the mindset and the mentality that we can execute a game plan and try and get a positive result. It wasn't to be, but like I said kind of previous and kind of media stuff there is we know where we are just now. Our bread and butter's the league campaign. It's going to take a big kind of rallying effort from everyone for the remainder of the season. So full focus has to be on that now. And as much as we're hurting, and I'll analyse the game and stuff, I've quickly got to get it to the back of the line because we've got a big job at hand. You
mentioned learning experiences for the younger players, but yourself as a relatively young manager, what do you take from a game against a Premiership side like that?
Don't know, good question. No, listen, it's tough because again when you're winning or you're doing things well because you come off the back of a negative result, it's what do you learn from the Tony Docks and these guys of the world, but then on the flip side if we come out and maybe get a positive result and it's a different question. So listen, it's one that we've had a good taste of success, and we've kind of the time frame that we've been in the job, and that's not just the results, that's off the field stuff, growing as a club and a culture. We've managed to sell a player to the English Premier League who's featuring in Crystal Palace's first team, so there's loads of positives that we can take going forward. Of course we're not there yet and there's still a long way to go, but we've got to make sure, like you said, there's going to be setbacks, and I said this actually a few months ago, it's great when you get all the plaudits and everyone's kind of singing your praises and stuff, but that's not going to define kind of who I am as a coach or what I think of football. It's when you go through kind of challenging experiences and testing times that coming out the other side is going to be what kind of make or breaks me.
And you must feel very supported by the board going through these tough times.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I've got to say in fairness is they've been patient and they've kind of understood that it's a growing process. We know where we are in terms of stature in the club in the Championship. This is our second season in there. think previous it was 20 odd years or something before they were in the Championship again. Doing that with a young squad, playing a refreshing brand of football that kind of had everyone talking, is something that I want to continue. It's not something I want to kind of escalate away from too much, but at the same time you've got to try and evolve and try not to become that predictable kind of boring coach as well as team. So you're always trying to find ways to improve on the field, off the field, personally, collectively as a team as well. So that'll be no different today.
Thanks, Rhys.